Good morning. Today, on the final day of the orientation program for the PGDM batch of 2020-22, we are honored to have with us Professor Chang Mo, Professor of Economics, CTBC Business School, Taiwan. We are really glad to see him today since we last met in the APA conference in Japan last year. IMI Kolkata is having a long association with him and Asia Pacific Economic Association in organizing conferences and conducting research activities. We have organized the only APA conference in India at IMI way back in 2016 in Kolkata. Professor Koo earned his PhD in economics from University of Missouri, USA, and bachelor's from Sankyukwon University, Korea. He is Professor Emeritus at Gangwon National University, Korea. He was a visiting professor at Stanford University, USA, and assistant professor at University of North Dakota, USA. Apart from academic achievements, Professor Koo has held responsible positions throughout his career. To name a few, he is President Emeritus, Korean Economic Association. He is currently President, Korean Association of Public Finance, President, Northeast Asia Professors Association. He is the President of Asia Pacific Economic Forum and Vice President of Asia Pacific Economic Association. I welcome Professor Koo to the online session. Today, he will be speaking on COVID-19 crisis, globalization in retreat, and the Asian economy. Professor Koo.
Thank you very much, Paramita, for your kind introduction. Good morning, everybody. My old and new friend in Kolkata. Also, I'm very pleased to see you, all of you incoming MBA students at IMI Kolkata. My name is Chang Mo Koo of Korea, but I was born and raised up in Korea and educated in USA. And currently I'm teaching in Taiwan. And this morning I'm delivering my speech to my beloved MBA student in Kolkata. It's kind of a very globalized. Yes, it's an era of globalization, but it's been in transition. It's been changing. So that's the main issue of today's topic I would like to deliver to you people. My title of speech is COVID-19 Crisis, Globalization in Retreat, and the Asian Economy. Before I start my speech today, I would like to express my deepest condolences of those casualties who died at the Air India plane crashes in Kerala yesterday. I'm really sorry about it. Okay. Let's move to my video and 55. Okay, please take a look at my 55 here. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Today, I'll start with the outbreak of COVID-19 and widespread all over the world the last several months. And it's gonna affect the economy, global economy, in many different ways. First of all, the globalization has been the mainstream of global economic order last 3 decades, but it's been in transition. It's been changing. It's been retreating. But that kind of retreating has been getting accelerated with the outbreak and widespread of COVID-19. Also, it's gonna affect the world economy in many different ways. Also, it's gonna affect the change of the global economic order. We have witnessed expansion of a new regionalism in Asia and the Pacific last several years. But the COVID-19 is supposed to be making a lot of influence on the reshaping of the widespread and expansion of new regionalism in Asia and the Pacific. That's my main issues I'd like to discuss with you people this morning. As you see, COVID-19 pandemic is getting worse and worse, but we'd like to see is been getting cooled down and stabilized somewhat in the last half of the 2020. And this map shows how COVID-19 affected so many regions, countries all over the world last several months. India is one of the country which got this widespread of COVID-19 last several months. I hope it's getting better very soon. And this data also shows how the outbreak evolution has been affecting major countries the last several months. Then as we have noticed it, still is going on. Then, next issue is globalization. Most of you are pretty well aware of globalization. That's the process of global integration in commodity and service, capital, and labor market. Then, what about the recent development of the above market? Large and sustained increases in cross-border flow of goods, commodities, money, ideas, and people have been most important factor in world affairs for the past 3 decades. Though recently the character and tempo of globalization have changed, the pace of economic integration around the world has slowed by many, though not all, measures. We call it globalization, a term used by Dutch trend watcher describing the reaction against the globalization. Say globalization, some people call it deglobalization or globalization. That's a combined word of stagnation and globalization. Likewise, many specialists and spectators and seeing the globalization has been in retreat last several years, particularly after the 2008 global financial crisis. So this kind of issues have been treated by weekly magazine The Economist. Yes, that's the theme which they heated up the making just one village of economy in the world. globalization has been fading away step by step. That's what we are witnessing last several years after the global financial crisis. But this tempo and the change of speed of change has been getting accelerated with the outbreak and widespread of COVID-19 all over the world. So, this kind of deglobalization or globalization in retreat has been accelerated. On the other hand, the other economic the mainstream used to be a regionalism last several decades, but this kind of a regionalism has been showing up in different shape and quite much vastly, mostly in the region of Asia and the Pacific. I call it the expansion of a new regionalism. Yes, particularly in the year of 2013. That is a very interesting year because the China's Belt and Road Initiative got revealed and launched in September 2013. Also, Russia's new Eastern policy was declared just a few months prior to the declaration of Belt and Road Initiative. And a grand design of 2050 of Japan was proclaimed several months after the declaration of Belt and Road Initiative. Likewise, in many major big economies in Asia and the Pacific, they have started launching new types of regionalism. They started almost at the same time, before and after 2013, also in the same region, Asia and the Pacific. So this kind of the change of economic order in Asia and the Pacific has to be paid attention to. Then this expansion of new regionalism are supposed to be affected by the widespread of COVID-19 as well. So in today's speech, my purpose to emphasize is first, paradigm shift of a global economic order has been witnessed, particularly caused by COVID-19, the globalization, and new regionalism in Asia and the Pacific. Now, question is how this kind of a paradigm shift would affect Asian economy. Yes, that's what we would like to discuss. Then, where to go hereafter, the Asian economy. Yes, the Asian economy will be quite much is expected to be affected by this paradigm shift. Then, where to go from now on? Yes, that's what we would like to conclude together with you, new student of MBA of IMI Kolkata this morning. So let me start with, say, outbreak and widespread of COVID-19 and how it's gonna affect global economy. First question is it gonna invite another global Great Depression? Yes, very likely. The thing is, probably you must have heard about Joseph Stiglitz. He's a very famous, renowned economist, also Nobel laureate. He warned that U.S. economy could rapidly descend into a second Great Depression. First, the Great Depression occurred between 1929 through 1933. That's what we call First Great Depression. Then, this kind of global economic slowdown could be ascend to the another Great Depression, very likely. Then this kind of the assertion got backed up the IMF managing director Kristalina Georgieva. She said during the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting last March, the crisis sparked by the spread of novel coronavirus is the worst since the Great Depression. Yes, that's the situation. As you see this data, the left-hand side table, right-hand side table, that shows that the economic slowdown and depression could be possible globally. Just to look at the growth rate this year and second quarter, as you have seen in this table, also on other sources of media report. Yeah, it's gonna be a very terrible minus negative economic growth is expected throughout the year. Then OECD also predict economic downturn would be quite much severe as indicated here. Just in a word, we can say that the global economy is likely to accomplish a reverse growth by minus 10% this year and minus 5% next year. Yes, this kind of economic performance will be very much similar to that happened during the First Great Depression in 1929 through 1933. Yes, that time world GDP decreased by 15% just in 3 years. That kind of economic downturn could be very possibly and likely repeated this year and next year. And second point we gotta pay attention to is global value chain. You must have heard about it. It's gonna be and being broken. Restoration is not be that easy. As you see, coronavirus pandemic has not only disrupted lives and businesses, it has illuminated underlying fragilities in the global value chain that drives economies around the world. Look at the case of a smartphone. The smartphone you use many times daily is a product of a global value chain, designed by a company in one country, manufactured by another firm elsewhere, and distributed by dealers everywhere, all underwritten by global cash flows. Yes, in India, you have this kind of cases and examples as well. global value chain trade accounts for 74% of world trade and 20% of world GDP in 2017. I don't have data last year and this year, but it's been getting damaged very much. The crisis might lead to long-lasting structural effect with the potential of the reconfiguration of the global supply chains in certain industries, accelerating reshoring and or nearshoring and reshoring possibly, diversification of suppliers, as well as increased automation. Likewise, this global value chain will be affected by the, say, COVID-19 crisis as well, very severely. Now, this map is very informative and interesting. That shows how the coronavirus can hit global supply chains. Yes, say one of the two of the three largest economic polar in the world, North America and East Asia, they are very much damaged and influenced by the coronavirus crisis. Then, this map shows how the global value chain will be affected and broken. And if reshoring, nearshoring, reshoring continues, yes, those factories, companies will move back to USA, Japan, and some other developed economies as well. But when it comes to the say nearshoring or reshoring, that destination can be easily we can predict. Reshoring could be on the source of USA and Japan, but reshoring very likely to South Asia and Southeast Asia. That's the part we gotta pay attention to. Let me get back that issue later on. If these broken global value chains are not supposed to be restored in near future, as you see from the graph, say possible decrease in world trade will be by 32%. That's gonna be a really big shock, as well as possible the Great Depression of the world economy. So this is very much similar to the decline in trade during the Great Depression in early 1930s. Yes, so we have seen that the COVID-19 crisis would affect performance of world economy. Also, it's gonna damage the world trade as well. Then, say following topic to be discussed further is reshoring and reshoring. Say as I mentioned earlier, global supply chain restructuring is a pandemic-specific. Global supply chain restructuring was underway before the pandemic. This includes companies reconsidering their relationship with China because of the trade war between the US and China. Yet, the pandemic has many speculating about reshoring and bringing manufacturing back to the US, Japan, and etc. More US-based companies are focusing on nearshoring operations in Mexico. Some others seek deshoring. Deshoring is a combined word between displace and shoring for safer investment destinations. They could be possibly South Asia and Southeast Asia. Say specific, they are India and Indonesia. Now, deglobalization has been accelerated by the widespread of COVID-19 crisis. But prior to the outbreak of COVID-19 crisis, there are some fundamental causes we gotta pay attention to when it comes to the issues of the deglobalization. Right here, I'd like to mention three issues. Number one, before we focus on and discussing those issues, we'll see how deglobalization is in process with some data and graphs given. Number one, the phenomenon we gotta pay attention to is world trade. Yes, after the global financial crisis in 2008 and Eurozone insolvency issues, that is public debt issues, in 2012, the entering the mid 2010s, we have witnessed world trade began to decline. This is a sad story, but please take a look at the graph circled by a dotted red line. Yes, world trade and world export declined entering 2014. Also, trade as a percentage of global GDP declined as well. Yes, that's one thing we cannot pay attention to. The other one is, money, capital inflows. Yes, global cross-border capital inflows have declined sharply since the 2007 peak. Yes, they are shown, depicted by the blue dotted circle in the graph. Yes, after we reach the 2007 peak, cross-border capital inflow declined sharply during the global financial crisis. But even entering 2010s, it hasn't recovered the previous level as well. But the long-term trend, we can see it has been declining. Yes, in numbers, in 2016, the cross-border capital inflow was of 4.3 trillion US dollars. That is almost the same size of Germany's GDP. That is just 1/3 of a previous 2007 peak, which was 12.4 trillion USD. That is about the same size of China's GDP. Another one is mobility of labor. Yes, from the graph shown here, yes, inflow of a foreign population, immigration flows, work migrant inflow, they all together started declining entering 2010, particularly after 2014. Likewise, from three kind of data we have seen here, yes, exchange of commodities and capital flow, mobility, labor, they all have started declining entering mid-2010. This phenomenon, we can say, yes, globalization is in progress in retreat. Yes, the world economic order has been already changing even prior to the widespread of COVID-19, but it has been accelerating with the widespread of COVID-19 crisis. Then, what made this kind of deglobalization start? Several causes can be listed up. Here, I would like to list up four kinds of causes. First one is deeply polarization of income and wealth in each country. Second, narrowing disparity of income and wealth between North and South. The North stands for the advanced economies, and the South stands for the underdeveloped or developing countries. Number three is post-industrial revolution. Another one is secular stagnation accompanied by aging. First, just pay attention to the data here. Top 1% of wealth shares across the world. Yes, entering 2000, particularly after 2010, yes, deepening polarization between the rich and the poor, yes, within a country is getting deeper. This data is about the income share that also develop that kind of deepening polarization. And another one is middle class in most of the advanced and developing economies are losing their ground. Likewise, this kind of deepening polarization will result in a deepening repulsion against the globalization, and argument listed up here below. Second one is narrowing disparity between the North and the South, between the rich countries and poor countries, between the advanced economies and developing economies. Compared with the previous decade and centuries, yes, we can tell, yes, disparity between the North and South are getting narrow. Yes, look at the graph in 2015. Yes, between the North and South, the development gap and disparity of income are getting narrow. this kind of the narrowing disparity between the north and south is kind of threatening to the industrialized economies. So it's gonna be somewhat the weakening some kind of motivation to enhancing globalization. So this could be another cause of deglobalization. Third one is the fourth industrial revolution is in progress. Yes, this slide list of the first, second, third industrial revolution, and along with the artificial intelligence, big data, robot, etc. Yes, global economy is under the process of fourth industrial revolution. So this the progress of a fourth industrial revolution would function as a deepening repulsion against globalization as well. Fourth causes of deglobalization could be aging. Yes, in most of the industrialized economies, also developing economies, are experiencing the aging. We have to cope with the aging society. But the thing is, this aging society would eventually rise issues against the globalization also is gonna invite the enhancing of protectionism. Also, another types of regionalism or economic integration in some certain region of the global economy. So this aging society would function also against the globalization as well. Altogether, we are experiencing deglobalization because of those causes. Then this speed of deglobalization is getting accelerated with the widespread of the COVID-19 crisis. Okay, now next one is about the expansion of a new regionalism in Asia. Before we start with that, I would like to have a couple of minutes of break, if you excuse me. And yes, just a couple of minutes. Okay, I'll be back here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Rishabh, you want to say something?
No, ma'am, not right now, but when sir will come, I want to ask him some questions.
Right. Let the lecture be complete and then we'll take
Okay,
questions.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, but you should also, as an beautiful analysis. You should understand that why we are now talking about deglobalization. And he has pointed 4 powerful reasons why you have deglobalization. Means why economies are actually protected or going to be protected. Not because only US and China trade war.
Mm-hmm.
You should understand what he has said. One is the polarization, inequality within the society in both developing and developed countries.
Sir, I want to ask him that.
After that, I'm just briefing what he has said.
Okay.
Within society, there are inequalities,
Yes.
which is due to skill and unskilled wages earned by the highly skilled populations. One. Second, he said north-south disparities are quite high. Why? Because more or less south means developing economies are actually catching up. So that disparity is narrower now. So who are the real beneficiaries is actually the developing are, yes, I'm briefing what you have said, a remarkable explanation you have given. Professor.
Yes.
I am just briefing what you have actually conveyed. Remarkable explanations to them. You can continue.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm back. Okay. Thank you very much for waiting, everybody. Now, first topic is about the expansion of a new regionalism in Asia. Yes, as you are well aware of, China's Belt and Road Initiative, which got launched after the 2013. That is basically China's global development strategy. Basically, it is trying to set up two kind of the Silk Road in 21st century. One is Silk Road Economic Belt, that is a land route. We call it One Belt. The other one is One Road, that is a maritime Silk Road through the maritime route. This China's Belt and Road Initiative aims to strengthen China's economic leadership through a vast program of infrastructure building throughout China's neighboring regions. The other one I'd like to focus on is Russia's new Eastern policy. It's got inaugurated in 2012. That's original intention is reorienting Russia's economy toward East Asia, growing its way in relative terms from its traditional economic partners in Europe. Russia pursues balanced development of its territory by joining the growing market in East Asia, and a goal of boosting economic and diplomatic cooperation with the nations in Asia-Pacific regions, including China, Japan, South Korea, India, and the ASEAN countries. So the entering 2012, what we may regard as Russia is one of the Asian countries. In fact, Japan, yes, throughout the launching of the Grand Design 2050. Yes, it would like to strengthen the dual development axis connecting East Asia and the Pacific Ocean and enhancing its inter-regional cooperation with the Northeast Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries. That is just a part of the Japan's Grand Design 2050. South Korea is also the implementing the new Northern policy entering 2010 so as to boost South Korea's economic cooperation with Russia, China, and North Korea. Also, at the same time, it is implementing new Southern policy aiming at elevating South Korea's strategic ties with the ASEAN nations and with India. That kind of the individual countries' development strategies got the advanced to the in many different kind of the multilateral the economic cooperation bodies. Right here, you can pick up the list of two of them. One is the Belt and Road Forum. Excuse me. This Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation was held in 2017 in Beijing, and it covers the 1/3 the countries and 70 international organizations. And this forum will be a platform for Beijing to work together with the member countries of the forum, particularly that are members of the FOA, the neighboring countries of China, through the implementation of the Belt and Road Initiative. The other one is Eastern Economic Forum. That's got launched in 2015. They meet every year, but the purpose of this one is enhancing economic ties of Russian Far East with the Asia and the Pacific. So basically, this plays the role of platform for Russia to be a part of Asia and the Pacific. That kind of the individual countries' cooperation strategies and cooperation multilateral bodies like Belt and Road Forum and Eastern Economic Forum eventually the help this kind of double axis of the global economy, which I would like to focus on and discuss in the end of the today's lecture. Please wait just a few minutes by that time. Then, likewise, we have seen the globalization is quite much in transition all over the world, particularly in Asia and the Pacific. That kind of shift of the paradigm when it comes to the globalization, in the form of the globalization in retreat or deglobalization is one of the important mega global trend, which we don't like to accept, but we have to accept it. That's influencing the Asian Pacific. Also, this kind of the paradigm shift, together with the widespread of the COVID-19, the crisis, the globalization will be accelerated, and eventually, the outcome in the near future will be possibly, say, second Great Depression. Is very likely. Another one is, say, confrontation between two super economic powers, between China and USA, will be getting severe. So this kind of changes in the region, particularly in Asian Pacific, we have to accept it, even though we would not like to. So there are three possible scenarios when it comes to the globalization issues. One is the good, the other one is the bad, another one is the ugly. Yes, the good is managed globalization, better balance between the prerogative of nation state and international rules. The bad case is business as usual, that is continued reliance on national global governance and coordination. Another one is the ugly, returning to the 1930s, that is protectionist, free for all. Yes, yeah. After the say global financial crisis, we are experiencing the shift of the paradigm. That's what happened during the first Great Depression in 1929 through 1933. Yes, globalization totally collapsed that time, and protectionism got prevailing in 1930s. That's the early case. That is very much feasible. So right here, personally, I would like to say that paradox of globalization implies that third case is rendered more likely by second case than by first case. Yes, if the first case prevails, that's very good. But we gotta prepare for the worst case, the ugly case, returning to the 1930s. Yes, even after the 1 century later, in the age of the fourth industrial revolution, yes, we might get back to the 1930s, 1 century ago, when protectionism prevails. Then, that kind of changes of paradigm and possible Great Depression, possible globalization, and if we are back to the 1930s again, yes, we are very concerned. We gotta get prepared. First of all, this kind of widespread of COVID-19 crisis, and the globalization and Great Depression and expansion of new regionalism. Yes, it's gonna give a bunch of damages to the Asian economies. Asian economies have enjoyed so far rapid economic growth thanks to the globalization. But those economies would receive efforts impacted by the deglobalization. Asian countries may now be enforced to make a choice in a new Cold War. New Cold War will be between the South and the North, not between the East and West. That is between China and USA. It's gonna be an era of a new Cold War. The neighboring countries to China will be most significantly influenced. South Korea is one of them. How about India? Yes. But I think in India, you have a lot of the futures, bright futures and hopes. Yes, the thing is, according to the forecast, 5 largest economies in 10 years, maybe less than 10 years, will be USA. No, not anymore. It's gonna be China, USA, India, Japan, and Indonesia. Right here, 4 countries out of 5 largest economies in the world are all located in South and East Asia. And India will be third largest economy in 10 years or maybe less than 10 years. So now we have to think very carefully where to go hereafter. First of all, when it comes to the economic growth strategy, basically there are 2 kinds. One is export-led growth. The other one is domestic demand-led growth. Out of these 2, domestic demand-driven growth strategy. This is more suitable to the advanced economies with the abundant resources and large economies of scale. Not for the South Asia or Southeast Asia. So there, we gotta choose between these 2. Of course, it should be export-led growth. The other one is multilateralism or regionalism. Multilateralism, more desirable for all small open economies, but pessimistic with the weakened WTO. So the issue be very likely we're gonna survive so as to carrying out the export-led growth strategy within the framework of certain types of regionalism. Then, what sort of regionalism to be sought? Yes, it should be economic integration just among East Asian economies, and also concerned about a model with China in and USA out in an era of a new Cold War between the South and North. Yes, there are a variety of options available here. One is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership initiated by China. India is one of the members out of 12. The other one is TPP. That's a new version of TPP a new version of the Trans-Pacific Partnership initiated by USA and Japan, but the US stayed out afterward. It got transformed to the CPTPP. And the other one is APEC FTA. Another one is EPN, Economic Prosperity Network, recently proposed by the USA. Yes, say USA is proposing and initiating EPN. So the in a graph, in a map here, I just briefly summarized. There will be a double axis of the global economy. Yes, one is initiated by the RCEP and Belt and Road Initiative. The other one is CPTPP and or EPN, Economic the Prosperity Network, initiated by USA. And after the World War II, global economic order has been initiated by the Bretton Woods Agreement, that is IBRD, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund. And in Asia, we have Asian Development Bank. But Beijing has been initiating ever since it established the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and Silk Road Fund, New Development Bank, and Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Yes, they have two different kind of structures. Right here, say countries in South Asia and East Asia, yeah, we gotta choose our own strategies and survival strategies. But for the case of India, yes, it's gonna be third largest economy in a few years. So India has a very bright and promising future. But it also requires the international responsibilities. The thing is, right here, for the case of the cooperation between India and South Korea, yes, last 10 and 15 years, it has been getting different and different, and both countries are very much interested in each other. Also, the India should make a very important role in a global society as well. That's what we expect. Also, for the new incoming student of our MBA program at the IMI Kolkata, I'd like to mention a few, deliver a few messages. I call it the 3 highs, 3 H's. You are very much promising, and India is a really huge country, but economy of India will be third largest in a few years. So that you have a very bright future and promising future. The thing is, how much you will contribute yourself, your family, your society, and your country entirely depend on how much you endeavor, how much you appreciate yourself, how much you are responsible for yourself and your country. I would like to deliver 3 messages. One is aim high. When young, don't be afraid of any failure. One word, dream high and aim high. Second message is fly high. Once dreaming together, the start of a new future, and then the dream comes true. Stay high. Once put into action together, a global explosion of your passion, your energy for yourself, for your society and your country, also for your friend, your neighboring country. Thank you for your passion. Yes, that's about it.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Cook, for such an insightful talk. We had a very nice overview of deglobalization and where the Asian economy is going to head after this COVID crisis and so on. So we already have 2 hands raised for questions. Rishabh first. Rishabh, ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello,
yes.
Yes. So first of all, sir, thank you for joining us today. We are very grateful to have you. Sir, as you have told us about the polarization and also about the developing and underdeveloped developing and underdeveloped countries. So my question is that how to ensure the sustainable economy of the lower middle class income country during this COVID-19 situation?
Oh yes, between the north and south, the developed and the developing countries.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the gap has been getting narrow thanks to the globalization. That's a series imperial works have proved that. So as to narrow the gap between the rich and poor countries, developed countries and developing countries, globalization made the really amazing contributions. So that's what we need. Say India has a lot of resources, but still developing, but still long way to go. For that, when it comes to their growth strategy, say export-led growth strategy should be adopted by India. That's been experienced by most of the East Asian economies, right?
Yes.
So as to implement that kind of strategies, we need to enhance globalization. That's not easy during a new Cold War. But if it is not that much possible, the thing is, some sub-regionalists, okay, among our member countries in the region, free trade very much encouraged and developed, particularly between South Asia and East Asia. So we gotta aim enhancing the globalization, within a block of regionalists. So the RCEP is initiated by China, that is China in. But the other one is CPTPP or EPN, okay? So India and South Korea should function in between as a mediating role between RCEP and EPN, 2 economic blocks. Also among us, so we gotta cooperate, enhancing globalization, free trade. Yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Next question, Soumya. Soumya Bharma.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I would like to ask that as you told about one belt and one road chain, about that policy. So, sir, I wanted to ask that how will it help us, how will it help our trade and commerce rather than connecting to neighboring countries?
I couldn't follow well. Anybody? Paramita or Arinda?
Yeah, what she is asking is if we have one belt, one road, how is it going to help our trade and commerce?
Yes, one belt and one road. One belt is almost a failure. So one road is very, very promising. The thing is, okay, why India or Indonesia are supposed to be another global factory? Yes, reshoring is getting back those companies back to USA, also USA and Japan. But deshoring, destination of deshoring, I think the India and Indonesia are very much concerned. Okay, so after the outbreak of the trade war between China and USA, quite a few multinational corporations are pulling out of China and moving to Southeast Asia and South Asia. That's the one reason. The other one is one belt. It is very costly, enhancing the cooperation with the Central Asia and other inland countries by China. Also, for the case of China, developing inland China, not easy, because from the coastal area, they are transporting materials further into inland is getting very costly. So they'd better use, maritime transport rather than inland transport. And one road is basically maritime, Silk Road. So it's less costly. And a location of a new industrial complex, those harbors and industrial complex located in India and Indonesia are very much efficient and economic. So that's why, including China, most of the investors are paying attention to developing the cooperation through the one road, then one belt. So that's the other reason why India and Indonesia have got a really bright future. And another one is India and Indonesia got a lot of natural resources, also human resources. So that's why India and Indonesia will be third and fifth largest economy in 10 years. That's what I predict.
Well, we have another session scheduled. Yeah, thanks. So we have another session scheduled. So I'll just take the last question from Mayank. Mayank, you have a question? No? Then Danish? Yes.
Okay, Danish.
A very good morning, sir.
You may ask a personal question. It's okay.
Since you are residing in Taiwan, so I have a question related to Taiwan. So Taiwan is a dynamic capitalist economy.
You are not audible. Can you be a little louder?
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
But since Taiwan is a dynamic capitalist economy that is largely driven by industrial manufacturing and essentially exports of electronics, machinery and petrochemicals. So the over-dependence on exports of the economy of the country, so how the COVID-19 is impacting the economy?
What about in Taiwan?
Yes, sir. Sir, can I repeat?
Yeah, please repeat once. Repeat your question once.
But since Taiwan is a dynamic capitalist economy, which is
Yes.
mainly driven by industrial manufacturing and especially exports of electronics and machinery and petrochemicals. So, thus the heavy dependence of the export exposes the economic transformation of Taiwan. So, how the COVID-19 is impacting that?
What was the last part?
How
Last
COVID-19
sentence?
how COVID-19 is impacting the economy of Taiwan?
COVID-19?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Taiwan is one of the typical East Asian countries which has grown rapidly through the export-led growth strategy. So those countries who enjoyed the rapid economic growth in 1980s, we call it the four Asian dragons. They include Taiwan, Korea, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Yes, actually, Taiwan enjoyed the rapid economic growth since then, but its dependence on the Chinese economy is getting very much different entering 1990s and 2000. Yes, they enjoy investing in mainland China, but ever since mainland China enjoyed the rapid economic growth entering 2000, relatively Taiwan's getting very much sluggish at 2000. And the other one is, of course, they enjoy as rapid economic growth as capitalist market economy. But the thing is, the economy is so much subordinate to the Japanese, the larger companies. When it comes to the big companies that have it, most of them are very competitive. The medium-sized companies, they are doing so good. They are exporting so good, particularly in electronic and IT industrial products. They are doing good. But the thing is, when they are initiating economic growth strategies, they are always subordinate to the Japanese and Chinese economy. This is a very serious problem associated with the Chinese economy today. So recently, they are still doing okay, but they relatively they are a little bit sluggish when it comes to the economic performance. The future of Taiwan not that much bright. That's why they're investing quite much of capital and fund for the young people. My school is a small, newly established business school by a banking group, so as to educate competitive global finance people. So my school just established one department, which is called AI Finance Department. Likewise, Taiwan is focusing on educating competitive young people. That's what India is currently doing. Probably the establishment of a lot of business schools, including IMI Kolkata, right? Yes. And my school, yes, 30% of classes are educated in English. That's why I was able to get a job there after getting retired in Korea.
Okay then. Thank you very much, Professor Koo, for this insightful session. And I think if the students have any further questions, they can route the questions through Avishikta to you and further interact if possible.
Oh, yes.
So, yes.
Yeah, please give my email address.
Sure.
If they have questions.
Yes. Looking forward to meet you again. On behalf of IMI Kolkata, I again thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation to the lecture.
Thank you, Professor. You have done a wonderful job for us. I have learned a lot.
Arindam, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Koo.
Oh, Dr. Nag is there.
Thank you.
Oh, hi.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a
I hear
wonderful
your voice.
lecture.
Yeah, I miss you. Oh, you look good. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah. We were together last summer, the other
Yes,
summer. Every summer we got together. But not this year. But here, through online.
Yes.
Wonderful job. So we
thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Yeah. Talk to you later, Arindam. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.